Welcome to Pro No Coders Office Hours, episode 288. I'm your host, Cameron, and I am here today with John. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning in, we do this 6 times per week where members of Pro No Coders or anybody that's been invited for a complimentary session can come onto our Zoom and they can ask bubble questions. Basically, give us your bugs, feature requests, whatever it may be. We can't promise answers, but we do promise you won't suffer alone. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. John, what do you have for us today?
Hello. Right, let me share my screen. Try to share the right one. Okay, can you see my screen okay with the database on it?
I can, that's right.
Cool. Sorry, because I've got multiple monitors and I'm never quite sure that I'm sharing the right one. Just give me 2 seconds to let the dog walker in. Hold on a minute.
Yes, no worries.
You can be studying the boring data while I'm there. Sorry about that. That was bad timing.
Hey, no worries.
Right. So Tonya and I set this up on Friday, I think it was, where I'm now starting to get into setting up Stripe and subscription plans and various settings as to, what are the different levels that I want people to be able to subscribe to, and therefore what are their restrictions. So we created a couple of things. So in user, then we have subscription, which is subscription plan. And then we have subscription plan, and we have owner, because she was saying there's a reason why to use an owner field rather than just always have it as the user. So I just went with that. Properties is a bit irrelevant, but that's to do with how many and which URLs I want them to be able to access. Type is part of an option set for plan, etc. And then under the option sets, and this is where the question comes in, we have the plan, which is plan level, number of rows and number of properties are some limitations I want to put into the plan. And then my levels for the plan, for now, we just call them free, light, medium, and full. So there'll be 4 levels. Now, that all works fine. But there's this guide over here that I've found, because I now need to do the actual sort of connecting to Stripe and everything else, which I've got Stripe working. But in here, this guy is saying, you may want multiple plans, blah, 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 blah. Store these as options in your database, which we've already done. Data type plan, and then field name, which I assume is the name of the plan, which is this. And then description, don't need that, I don't think. Frequency, I don't think I need, because they'll all be monthly. Price, I suppose I may as well store that. Stripe price ID, etc. So first question is, do you think, and maybe this is a question for Tonya on Monday, which is fine, but I didn't know whether to add the extra fields I need to this option set or add them into here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I would add them to the option set. The option set, it makes more sense, I think, from a hierarchical, like top-down kind of level. Now, like you had said, you don't need the description, the frequency, so on and so forth. So what you have there is fine. I think the way that it is set up currently, it should be put on the option set. Yeah.
Okay. And then users down here, I take it I just add those to user, it would seem. I mean, that's what he's telling me to do. So I assume that's pretty straightforward. So last payment made, subscription end date, Stripe subscription ID, status, Stripe cancel at end, which I don't think I need, bloody, blah. So I'm planning on just adding those to the user table.
Yeah, so he's extending the user, as he says there, and adds that information. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad idea to add the user, like a list of users as well, to the plans. It seems like, though, you can have it one way in this case, where we're looking at the users and the plans that they have. But you also could look at the plans and then all the users on the plans as well. So there's definitely many ways to go about it, how we're going to communicate this data to one another. I think both ways are going to be sufficient in sort of achieving what we're looking for, really just making sure that we know which user has which plan has which user, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you have it where you're extending that user role or the user record rather with this information, still a way to do it. I think in my own personal preference, I would also add a list of users to the plan, just so that in the event we're like doing a search for, let's say we want a metrics database and we're displaying this information on a graph, that's going to query faster if we're looking at the plan with a list of users instead of looking at all of the users with this plan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. I can crack on with that tomorrow or whenever then. I've not got a huge amount else to go through, I don't think, Cameron. I can show you my moment of triumph that I had earlier if you want.
Yeah, I'd love that. Go for it.
Oh, we've got someone else joined. Oh, Adam's on. So I'll show you. I'll quickly show you my main moment of triumph, and then we can let Adam get on. So, Tonya and I were playing around with this for ages on Friday, and we could not get it to work. And I had a combo of a bit of an accidental breakthrough earlier today. So, basically, this report here is cannibalization. And what it's trying to say is only give me keywords from my data set where the keyword has a duplicate, so where it occurs more than once, because what it's doing is saying it will occur more than once because it's on more, so you're ranking for the same keyword on more than one page on your website, which is something people are interested in understanding for SEO. And we could not get it to do this Friday. And a moment of triumph, I managed to get it to work earlier today, and I had two different problems with it, which I managed to sort of work through in the end. So that's all working now. So this does its thing.
Pretty badass. Do you mind sharing the logic that you implemented?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Is it crazy?
Well, it's not crazy, but there's a lot of list shifter malarkey going on. So
gotcha.
Basically, you can ignore some of this stuff because these are just outputs I put on the page to sort of help me debug it all. So basically, you've got that's just the original list. That is, I'm doing nothing to that. That's just give me all the data. Then this list is saying, okay, give me that data again, but now filter it. So now, and it's filtering it by keyword is in, list shifters, keyword query filter, original list, each item's keyword, blah, 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 blah. And then all it's doing is basically comparing this list to this list. So I created a second list, which has actually got the duplicate data in it. So this goes through and says, okay, group everything by keyword, give me the count. And then the filtered says, where the count is more than one, i.e.
nice.
There's more than one of them. So I found this logic on someone on the forum had worked this out for me. So that was quite handy from like a year and a half ago or something.
Oh yeah, we like that.
So it was just the other bits that were struggling. And then basically the repeating group just displays what's in this list shifter. So it's good. Yeah, works.
Wow. Yeah, very, very awesome. Very grateful that you were able to show us that logic, and also for you being able to, crush it and get it actually working. Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah, only took about 2 hours of swearing and frustration, but got there in the end. Not helped by the fact at one point I'd got this filter set up on my actual repeating group, and in the repeating group you'll notice it's paginated, and so I was going, right, why is this not working? It should work. And what I realized was this said I've got 2,000 records, which is about what I should have for the full data set non-filtered. So I started randomly flicking through my pages. And then like on page 5, keywords started to appear. And so what it was doing is I don't know quite what it was doing, but it was showing me all the data. And then the duplicate ones were just appearing in various points across my pagination. So it looked like the page here was blank and not doing anything, but actually it was working fine, had been for about a half hour. I've been swearing at it.
Oh, no way.
Just I couldn't see it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, congratulations. Definitely amazing stuff.
Yep. So there you go.
Rock on.
Adam, are you okay?
Yeah, let's hop on over to Adam.
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good.
Doing well.
I actually have a keyword related question as well.
Cool.
Wonderful.
So my app is it's user generated content. So I am trying to figure out a way to make sure that keywords are how do I put this, like, of high value. So I want to eliminate probably like the most commonly used words, right? Like I don't want someone to get a suggestion because they both use the word the. Do you know what I mean? Or like but. So I'm trying to figure out, Cameron, you and I have already set up how to get a list of various keywords and update them for users and companies and job posts and all that. But I'm trying to figure out how do I keep that, and then at the end of it, maybe have like minus list, and then just the list of words that I want taken out of that. Is that possible?
So we're trying to basically eliminate common words like the, but, and things of that nature.
Yes.
Could you not do that literally the way I've just done mine, but use is not in instead of in?
But you could. You'd have to create sort of like a list of all of the common words
Yeah.
that you. Yeah. So you could basically, the way that that John has set it up is with his list shifters. So he's comparing two lists, and his output in his repeating group is basically the combination of those lists where the keywords aren't matching.
So I totally understand that. It's just you have seen my app and you see how much is going on. So going into every single repeating group and doing its own individual function would be a very time consuming feat. So I would really just like the actual text block to have those words kind of scraped out, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that would you use a recursive work? So you could always use your recursive workflow that cycles through every single tag, but that would get really messy, I think, pretty quickly. Whereas you could probably do what John had done and do a group by, and then if the count is greater than one, you would delete it. But I'm trying to think of the best way to approach this for you, so it's not messy, you know?
Yeah, like if the title was something relevant or like the green plant, I would want the taken out, but green plant kept in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose on each save of these keywords, what you can do is you can cycle through. Well, you could probably do an intersect function. Well, yeah, let's we're gonna sort of experiment here together.
Okay.
We're going to call this intersect, and so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to enter in a input field. Well, we can do a multi input field. This is going to be where we're entering in our tags. Enter your tags here. We'll see what we can do here. So, and for understanding, right, people are going to be entering tags without. So it's been a little bit. Are they going to be typing in the green plant, or is it going to be the green plant?
They will be typing in the top one.
Okay. So in the event that they do that, not a problem. Okay, cool. And then we're going to have a button where we basically say, add this to a database. Say save. When we do this, we are going to create a new thing. And of course, it'll be a little different for you, where if they have tags, we can make changes to a new thing, so on and so forth. New type, yes. I want it to be. And we will call this tags text. And we are going to take this value. What we're going to end up having to do, because we need to turn this into a list, is we need to split it by a space. So we're delimiting it by the space. So now when we actually save it, we should have a total of 3 items being saved. And we're going to go ahead and test this real quick before we proceed, just to make sure that that's exactly what happens. Let's go here. We're going to focus So the green plant, it's saved, I believe. Yep. So now we have 3 items. Well, in one record, but it's been split. And so we're going to have to implement some logic here. We're also going to have a database where we're basically saying, don't include these words. So common words. We'll close common words text. And what we're going to be basically doing. So I'm thinking, should we add it as a list or should we add it? Well, let's just add it like this, where we delimit it by a comma as well. So we'll do the and let's say but. Oh, realize that's the default value. So you could probably add this as an option set as well, but at least for the time being, we're just gonna have it set as this in the database. So, all right, you and I are gonna be doing some thinking out loud together to see how we can get this working. So we're gonna make changes to a thing, and it is going to be the result of step 1. We're gonna make a tags text. We're gonna say this tags text, and split by. Well, actually, now we're splitting it by a comma, so we can actually focus on the tags and say value split by. We can actually get rid of this here. We don't need to split it yet. So now we have this list intersect with, and then we're going to be doing a search for the common words. It is the first item. There's only one in there. Let's see. So what this is going to do.
I'd probably just make an option set, right? Like I'd probably just make an option set of all the words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
it's
that's
not like 100, it's like 15, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, so words text. Oh, then we need to split this by a comma, because that's how it's been saved in the database. So what we're doing is we're taking this list and we're saying we're intersecting it with this list. And what that's going to do is it's going to result in an output of words that are the same. So I'm thinking, do we want to probably, believe it or not, do some logic in a custom state. And I'm just sort of thinking out loud again, just so you're aware. This is the logic for parsing. And the value is going to be this expression if we can make it work. And I'm going to make it a list. And so what we're going to end up doing here is now in this custom state, we're getting the word that is, well, common between both of those entries. So let's just test this out down here. We're going to have this. We'll test it out and see what we can do. So you notice that only the's there because this is a word that's common between the two. And so now we've saved it in the custom state. And what we're going to be trying to do, if we can do this, we are going to say, so we could say this result.
And I'm just really quickly wondering, so you're only showing the out in the open because this is just like it's the example, right? But I'm basically just saying that I'm hoping that I don't have to add hidden elements to every single time a user updates anything in their profile, a company updates anything in their profile, etc., because that would just be like 3 days worth of work, I think.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm showing that this is purely for example, for testing. So I'm showing you that when we take this list, because we're making this a list, and then we compare it to the common word list, we're going to get the result of all of the common words that appear in this entry. So basically, we're isolating all the words we don't want.
Yep.
And then what we're doing is we're saying, once we have that information, we're saving these words in a custom state. We're saying when we have this information, we now want to get rid of it. We want to look at the list that we had originally entered for the tags. We want to split that again. And then we want to minus the list of the words that we have been able to isolate between the two.
Okay, great. So this sounds like I could incorporate it to the API workflows I already have set up in place, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that you could. Yeah.
Okay.
So a click save that should have saved. And then we will go back to Atom tags. Where are you hiding tags, Atom? And you can see now we've only saved green plant.
Okay, awesome.
So let's do one more thing, because I do want to, that works for one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this logic here, first item. So what we're doing is splitting by, and it is case sensitive. I think that's pretty important, actually. Let's go to common words. How did we save? So yes, it is case sensitive. One of the things that I do in applications that use something similar is I do convert all of my words to uppercase using the uppercase function, just so that there is no disparity. Basically, they're all uniform across the board. Nothing's going to get lost. And so that's just one of the ways that I approach it. If you do that on the back end and you say, use uppercase,
I could just do that at the end of the text block that we created, right? Because we did a bunch of like append and all of that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. So again, let's change this to blue plant. So now we should really only save blue plant here. Let's see if this works. And it does. Awesome. So this is going to be how we do it. We just compare basically at the end of the day, making sure that we have information from one list and another. We're going to find what's in that list that we don't want. And then when we click save, we're going to remove that information using the minus list feature.
Okay, cool.
Rock on.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have any other questions for me?
I've got one probably quick one, because I think it might be a no, but
okay.
Let me show you. Let me get a screen ready, and then I'll show you my screen again. Hang on. Right, let me share my screen. I was playing with this earlier, and I haven't quite got my head around it yet. So, sign up, reset password, login. Right, let's go to the login page. I think it is. So on here, I've got things like reset password, create new account, all that sort of stuff. And let me just make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah. So what I've got set up is I'm trying to do my emails, and I'm trying to do it so that all of my emails are handled in back-end workflows rather than them actually being spread all over the place of all the different pages I need to send them from. So I've got a workflow here which says, okay, send this email in this event, send this email in that event, blah, 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 blah. And I'd prefer, if I can, to keep them here so they're not everywhere. One of the challenges I've got is some of these emails, like, let's have a look. Send email. So let's say, for example, this email here, send reset password email. The user doesn't necessarily, well, because they're trying to reset their password, they're not necessarily logged in. They might have forgotten their password and they're trying to send it. So when I've got this set up, it says current user's email. But obviously at that point, Bubble doesn't know what the current user's email is because they're not logged in. So what I want, the question is, so let's say from that reset password page, and I've got the when button submit is clicked, reset password page, so wherever it is, I've got an event then to send the email, to tell it to send the backend workflow email. Can I pass values? Because what I need to do is to grab the email that they've entered in the form, and then I need to send that value to the backend workflow so it can use it as the email to send to.
You absolutely can. Not a problem. So let's go to our backend workflow where there is that email, and we're going to start there. So for the reset specifically, what you'll see on your properties panel, when we click on that blue box there, you will see under, add a new parameter. Perfect.
Okay.
This is going to be email because that's what we're passing back. And we're going to keep it as a type text because that's what we're sending.
Yeah.
So now we go back to the front end where we're actually clicking this button.
Which, let me just show you the screen because that might be a bit simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually possible. But anyway, we get the idea. Right. Okay. So that's that. Reset password. Okay.
Okay.
So now if I just, for example, set a backend workflow.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. So we have to set the backend workflow. I believe it's custom events, schedule API workflow.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that it's confirmation email, reset password. Yeah.
We'll set the schedule date as today or whenever. So I do current date time.
Yeah.
And then email is going to be the input field's email. So whatever they're entering.
Right. So this appears because it knows it's in the right. That's the bit I didn't understand. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's as simple as that. And so you can repeat that process past whatever parameter you truly want anywhere.
Got you.
So yeah.
Got you. Fab. That's saved me some. Right, I'll delete that because I think that's actually the wrong page. But right, I've got it now. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to help. Yeah, backend workflows, being able to pass in parameters is amazing. Very, very awesome.
Yeah, I assumed that, well, I thought, there is a way to, but I just couldn't quite see how to do it. But no, makes sense.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's going to be much easier to have all the emails in backend workflows than spread all over the pages.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. I like that, the organization.
Yeah.
Guido Mosquito. Cool. Any other questions from you guys?
Would I be able to get the link to that page that we just set up?
Let me see here. Yeah, let me go ahead and send it in the Zoom.
You're trying to say you didn't memorize the logic, Adam?
I just want to double check. I'm a pretty thorough person. All right. Thank you so much, Cameron.
Yeah, not a problem.
And then I do have a question.
Let me stop my screen sharing. Did you crack whatever that problem was you were trying to work through the other day with Callum?
With upload care?
Yeah.
No. And I actually reached out to Zero Code with their plugin. I'm really just trying to reach out to every single entity that I can. It's the weirdest thing. Makes absolutely no sense that I upload things to upload care. It shows up in the system. However, I can't pull back a URL. But the demo page of the Zero Code paid plugin, that's what really kills me, that it's paid. The demo page isn't working. So I reached out to them like, guys, like this is something we gotta, resolve.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm the only person that actually paid for it is trying to use it, but who knows? Okay, so this is actually kind of open up the floor. Have either of you, I know Cameron, you've used Pathfix. John, have you used Pathfix?
No.
Okay. So my question is, when a user signs in, right? Like what happens is when a user signs in with an external account, such as like let's say YouTube or Facebook or whatever you set up for them, or an Instagram, if they sign in, but then they change their username later, does Pathfix automatically register that? And how does that work, that entire process? Because it's the same account, it's just a different username, but they've already signed in. And also, do they stay signed in forever? Because ideally, that's what I would like. But if they need to keep signing in, that's another uphill battle.
Really good question. So you're wondering, so let me understand, right? So a user gets to your website, they click the, they sign up with Pathfix, so like a Facebook button.
Right, and so you understand use case. I'm just going to be transparent about, how people can basically like show their other social media platforms on a social media platform. This would be after they've signed in. So this would be like they're in their account, they're trying to connect their Instagram. I don't want them to be able to link any Instagram under the sun. I want them to have to prove that it's theirs by signing in.
Yeah, so I have a feeling across the board that if they do change their username, that it probably will sign them out unless this is cached in their local storage. Being that the servers are going to be looking for certain information that their browser is sending, and it's going to be different, unless, of course, it's the same. In which case they'll stay signed in. So it depends. Are they changing their username on the same computer or the same device and then going back to the website? Because at that point, I would be under the impression that or the assumption, I suppose, that would work, where they would stay logged in. But I feel like if you change your username on Instagram on a computer and then you try to sign in on your phone, it asks for your password again. So that's sort of my train of thought there.
I mean, yeah, I can't answer whether they're going to change their password or username for Instagram, so I guess, but that's good to know that it might actually stay signed in if it's the same device.
Yeah, I feel like typically that's how it does work out. Now, the signing in forever, staying signed in forever across the board, I think Pathfix does offer that, right? It was one of like their things is like, we handle refresh tokens. So I'm under the assumption again that yes, you would be able to stay signed in forever unless there's a policy set up by that company, by whichever company that they're trying to sign or log into. So yeah, I think that it keeps them in forever.
Okay, all right, that's good. So you and I we had our own session where basically we were talking about like how I would register for like the TikTok API and the Instagram API, but like we came to points where they were basically asking for like a terms page and a policy page, and I know what they're looking for is basically stating that like if a user signs out, we're not keeping their data and we delete their related TikTok data, and that's just for their own personal lawsuits, and I get that. But so I am a little like the place that I keep getting stuck at with these more some of the APIs are like, sure, here you go. And then others are like, we need to see your terms, we need to see your conditions. I'm like, you're not reading this, but whatever. Does the website need to be live for me to send them that? Like, am I gonna get, I don't know, because they're going far enough to say we need your terms and conditions. I'm wondering, like, do I need to be launched in order to get approved? Or do I need to, can I just send you like the Bubble app link to the terms page? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in my experience with working with say development, getting it then to production, in a very similar sense, the information that I provided was all for development. The links were basically to show them this is the application. This is where this information is found at the very moment. Since we're not live, you wouldn't be able to get a live link, right? However, once you've been approved, at that point, it would be in your best interest to update all of your links with now your live information. But really, they're just looking for on your application, whether it's development or otherwise, basically on your sitemap, where is this information? Where is it located?
Right. Okay. And would I be showing them the pages that users sign in to TikTok, or would I be just sending them like the terms? I guess I would.
Depends on sort of what they're looking for, really. I know that with YouTube, I had to record the functionality for my application in addition to providing the YouTube review team with links to where they would find my documentation.
Okay.
So I think it's a little bit of both, but it does depend on the application that you're building for.
All right. Okay. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. We actually just had a question the other day on the Bubble forum where somebody was asking a very similar question. They said, well, what do I do? It's asking for an instructions link. And I was like, it is very confusing. It can be the way that it's worded. Really just looking for a link on your page, on your application that has instructions for a user on how they could delete their information. And I think, Adam, you and I had even tested it where just to get the OAuth credentials, I think it was the key and the secret key or whatever it was, we just entered an empty link with no instructions on it. They just want they're just looking for a URL where this information would be found. So yeah, just put the text on the page. Could even be a video, for goodness sakes, could just something that's informative about how they're going to be able to request and delete their information.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I might do it in video form. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah. Otherwise, one of the things that I would do is there are like legal templates that you can find online. And one of the reasons is of course the European law for data deletion specifically. You should be able to find some information from other websites or other companies that have something similar and be able to not take their information, but use it and modify it,
You mean in their policies?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Related question, Cameron, because that's just set me off thinking about it. You've integrated to Google's APIs before, haven't you? They for their OAuth stuff, I know. So I'm in test at the moment, and I remember that they reckon they need some checks as well when I send that live. I don't think it's as onerous as that. I don't think they're asking for copies of T's and C's and stuff. I think they want a logo, a description of what you're trying to do. And I mean, it doesn't really matter to me, but do they actually check? Have you been through that? And did they actually check it, or did you just?
Oh yeah, I have been through that too many times actually. So for one application, I think we had to do it 6 times for a bunch of different reasons. One of which was because when you get to that OAuth screen, they ask to see your client ID to make sure that it is your client ID. And so there had been an instance where I recorded the entire Zoom, like 4 minutes of going, this is how this works, blah, blah, blah. And I never actually looked at the URL in my OAuth screen. So they said, denied. So they absolutely do look at it. They're very, very hard about it. So make sure that you're following the directions as closely as possible.
Right. Okay. I look forward to that then.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably get it done in one, if you read the directions, but I was rushing through. I just got my wisdom tooth pulled out. I was in pain. I just wanted it done. But yeah, so they do check for sure.
Okay, fine.
Sweet. Any other questions, my dudes?
Not from me.
All right. Adam. Oh yeah.
I have one last one, and I know that I feel like we're getting so much right now. I feel like usually I can ask like 1 or 2 questions, and this time it's like boom, boom, boom.
It's nice. Yeah, get them out of the way.
So I essentially want to, like, Cameron, you have extensive experience with Shopify, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And I finally was able to get this plugin that like works pretty well with their information. However, the one thing this plugin can't pull, which sounds ridiculous, is because products are variants, right? Like products in the Shopify API are variants, but I'm trying to get the price of a product, and I'm wondering if I need to be using that as a variant. So essentially, let me like walk you through a use case here. I'll share my screen 1 sec.
Yeah, I'm going to log into my Shopify app that I've built so I can tell you, because I do display prices for these products.
Okay, amazing. Page name test. Let's just do that. But essentially, there's this plugin. I will do get external from the API. Okay, Shopify. All right, so there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this get, but I've kind of just gone down the list, and I figure, okay, my use case is I want people to be able to create affiliate marketing campaigns, and what I want them to do is essentially have one product per campaign to keep it clean for launch. Like, we don't have to do bundles. I'm not going to make it complicated. Just one product for the campaign. So I guess I would start with get a list of variants, and then like each item's. I'm confused at variants, I guess, and where option 1, option 2, option 3. I'm sure that there can be more than 3 options. I'm just trying to understand what they mean, because what I'm essentially saying is like, look, if you pick a product and you want to get all the variants of that product, I want to be able to display all of them, and then once somebody picks one of those, I could get that item's price, right? Because each item's price. So I would just say like this particular items in a repeating group. I would put this in a repeating group and say this item's price.
That's exactly it.
Okay. And then if I picked one variant, I guess that would be a product, like, I guess get single product. But then the weird part is products variance price. But then it's like, okay, each item's price, how do I pick a variant? Is my question. It's like, if I put this in a repeating group, how would I be able to select the variant?
How would you be able to select the variant in a repeating group for each item's price? Well, it would be, so if this was in a repeating group, it would be, so get single product and then item number equals current sales item price.
Yep.
And so you'd just be looking at each cell instead of getting each item's price, you'd just be looking at which, and so it'd be a repeating group that we're looking at the total variance. So the data source would be the variance. And then the price would be then the cell's position.
Okay, I'm gonna play around with this then. It's a really, really good API and a great plugin. So I hope that I can get it working.
Yeah, you'll absolutely be able to. It can get very confusing. I know my Shopify app that I was building, it took me about a week and a half, and it's not a complex application whatsoever. It's just that when you're dealing with Shopify, and exactly as you had said, you have variants. How do you have all this information, displayed the way that you need to? And so that now if I was to go back and build it, it would be a lot quicker, but figuring it out did take some time. But yeah,
so how did you pull those prices? Do you mind like sharing that information?
Yeah, so I'm actually taking a look, and I removed that feature a little bit ago because it wasn't necessary and it was taking up screen real estate. But the way that you would do it, so also unique to my store, there are no variants. There's only one item for each SKU or one product. So for me, it would have just been first item price, so it would have been a bit different. But for you, what you'd be doing is your repeating group. So let's say you have a repeating group, right? You have a parent repeating group.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a collection of all of the products. But then you have to have, for a variant, you have to have another repeating group inside that product. So you can actually show then the variants. What you would do is you would set the group source of that child repeating group as the variant, basically as the data source. The variance would be the data source. And at that point, you would have a text object, called price, where you'd say price equals item number, current sales price. So it looks at, if you're on variant number 1, that's in the first cell. It's going to pull the first cell's price. Number 2, it's going to look at the second cell. It's going to pull the second cell's price, so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Yep, that's the way that you're going to have to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
And is that API app you're using just an app that's in the Bubble plugin store?
Yes.
Right.
It is, I think it's by NoCode Venture.
Right. I might have a play with that. I quite like playing around with APIs. I've got no need to actually do anything with Shopify, but I'm getting sad about playing with APIs.
They can be fun, linking third-party services and saying I can build anything. It can be fun. But awesome stuff, guys. Is that all of the questions that we have for today?
We'll go for one final time. So yeah, nothing from me.
All righty. Well, we are going to move into after office hours, in which case you can always join us in after office hours if you have the member developer or the developer membership from Pro NoCoders, where we turn off the cameras and focus on things that might be a little sensitive, like client projects, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for everybody that has tuned in today. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, John. You guys are awesome, and you guys have a good one.
Same to you.